Okay, there we go. I'm recording. So first of all, welcome everybody. And so if you're new to Zoom, welcome to the Team Bulletproof chat. And I want to just first of all tell you that there's two different ways that you can see the Zoom screen. You can go to speaker view or gallery view. Speaker view is when the person who's talking is the only person you can see on the screen. Gallery view is when everybody looks kind of like the Brady Bunch, like in tiles on your screen. And right now I'm seeing, it looks like we've got 18 people on the line, and we've got a few who's got their video muted out or whatever, but just really, really happy that you guys have joined us tonight, because we had a really great month in the month of July. Lots of great things to celebrate. And I'm going to just do kind of a high-level overview, and then I'm going to turn it over to a couple of the leaders to do a little bit of celebrating as well. And then I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, Wendy McGlon, who I'm just realizing, Wendy, I don't have your actual bio in front of me, but I'm going to introduce you as my friend and tell as much as I can about what I know about you professionally as well. So, okay, so first of all, in the month of July, we had a total of 16 new team members in Team Bulletproof. We had 157 new customers. We had, what I looked at, I'm going to give you a list of people that had 5 or more new customers in the month of July. And, every single person on the team contributed in some way. I mean, everybody, if you brought on one new customer, one new team member, or you placed a new order for yourself, you contributed to the overall team. And but we like to use 5 as a benchmark, because if you can consistently grow your customer base with 5 new customers every single month, you're going to get yourself to that customer qualified level that much faster. And if you remember, the company is doing the summer surge, so we are working really hard right now to get as many of our team members customer qualified as possible. And we are right now, we are an 8 club. We have 8 qualifiers on Team Bulletproof. Now, some of those may be customer qualified, and some may be qualified with their team members' help. But if you can get yourself customer qualified with about 25 trio orders direct to you and your customer base, that's going to be a really great next step to growing yourself into a good, solid business. So we had Kelly Hipple with 5 new customers. Aspen, is it Harrell? H-E-R? Is it H-E? I can't read my own writing. I think it's Harrell. Aspen Harrell with 5. Aspen's a brand new team member, and so is Kelly. Rachel Araki had 6 new customers. Kelly Kioskis, there she is. Kelly had 7, and Tiffany Lee had 7 new customers. And Jennifer Engelhardt had 8 new customers. Alex Oliver had 9 new customers, and Greg Grubb had 8 new customers. I'm sorry, I missed that. And Bobby Oliver had 14 new customers. So, of course, all of us are extremely excited. I'm gonna unmute. I'm gonna try to unmute you guys because I want Tiffany to share. Obviously, I would like for Tiffany to kind of come in and announce the celebration of an incredible new promotion on Team Bulletproof.
Yeah.
Yes.
So can you hear me okay?
Yeah, hang on a sec. I don't know why it's not letting me mute. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Like Michelle said, this month has been amazing for everybody. Everyone's just had such awesome accomplishments, and I'm so proud of every one of you. And we have a new Fast Track Senior Sales Coordinator on our team. Bobby had reached that, and she's worked so hard this whole month, the whole time, but I know you guys really pushed hard this past month, and it really paid off. So why don't you go ahead and fill us in and kind of give us the highlights and.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm really proud of our team, especially in the last couple months. We really set a goal, and then we went and did it. And it's really incredible to see all of that really fall into place. And our goal was 100 new customers last month, and I believe at the very end we got about 103. So that was really cool to see everybody kind of work together to do that. Like Michelle said, we have about 11 new team members on our team this month. And we had 5 HLPs, and those HLPs were Liz Luther, Aspen Harrell, which I believe is how to say it, Angie Miller, Kelly Hipple, and Tia Snyder. And then we have a new sales coordinator on our team as well, Alex Oliver, my sister-in-law. She works really, really hard as a wellness coordinator, and she works at Now Care in Dixon, and she is doing a really great job there, using Juice Plus as a way to get more fruits and vegetables into her clients. So she's doing an incredible job. I'm just really proud of everybody. Great job, and I'm excited to see what we do in August.
I know that the momentum is just going to keep going, and I just want to encourage all of you. I mean, it's just so fun to see this type of momentum, you know, inside Bobby's team and all around it, and just so excited to see what we continue to do over the next couple of months moving into the fall conference. So thanks. Congratulations, Bobby. We're really proud of you, and proud of every single one of you that contributed to that and helped to lead her, coach her, and guide her too. You know what I mean? It's just been an amazing, such a fun team effort. So, okay. So I want to welcome Wendy McGlawn to our call tonight. And I'm really, really excited. Wendy is one of my best friends. She is, as we affectionately say, my sister from another mister. And Wendy and I lived together in Dayton. Well, we didn't live together. We lived right down the road from each other. She moved in 4 doors down from me when she was already on the Ewald's team. And we just became really fast friends and found that we had so many things in common. Like, we both grew up in the same town and didn't know that until we met each other many years later. But Wendy's got a background in information systems and technology. She's a graduate of University of Dayton. She is a 50 Club National Marketing Director with the Juice Plus Company. And she and her husband, Jeff, have been able to travel to Australia to train. So Wendy is highly, highly regarded within the Juice Plus community and all around it. She's also just an amazing friend, an amazing leader. And I know that you guys are going to benefit so much from what she has to train tonight. So we got an opportunity, Claire and Tanya and I got an opportunity to go spend a few hours on Wendy and Jeff's boat after the Buckeye Success Summit. What was that, a week or 2 weeks ago or whatever? And it's hard for me to believe that it was only a couple weeks ago. It feels like it was forever ago because I miss my friend. But so we had so much fun, and those guys got an opportunity to just have a casual conversation with Wendy, and she helped them craft a very succinct story. And Wendy is a master at training on this. So when she offered to train us on our Zoom chat tonight, I jumped at the chance to have her. So I am going to turn it over to Wendy.
Thank you, Michelle. Well, it's such a privilege to be on this call. And, you know, I think one of the best advantages of this business that nobody ever tells you about is the friendships you make along the way and how you just are there to cheer each other on. And, you know, I love hearing about Michelle's successes. I love hearing about her team's successes. You know, we're going to be rooting for you, Bobby, when you're walking across that stage as a fast track senior sales. And, you know, so it's just fun to be together like that. But you're in phenomenal hands with Michelle, as you know. And I have no doubt that she is going to be an MD before we know it. But, you know, we locked arms as buddies when she lived here, and we held each other accountable, and we did events together, and we really just had fun. And that's what this business is about, is having fun. And so I'm going to talk today about stepping into your story. And, you know, if you're not having fun telling your story, it's time to change your story. But there's a couple of things I want to talk about. I'm going to first talk about the mindset you need to have when you're sharing your story, then the steps of how to share it, how to close the sale, and then really how to maybe rework your story if you're not really comfortable with where it is. And then we're going to share with Tanya and Claire a little bit of some of the things that we did when we were on that boat. But, you know, I'll first share my story for those of you who don't know me, because there's a lot of new faces on here that I don't know. You know, I first learned about Juice Plus over 12 years ago, and I was a single mom at that time, and I needed to make sure that I was feeding my family well. We couldn't afford to get sick. I couldn't afford to miss work. And so yet we were running hard. And more importantly for me, I wanted to change my family's health legacy with cancer. I had 3 out of my 4 grandparents had cancer, and 2 cousins my age. I'm 52. And when they were both under 30, they both died of cancer. And it was on either side of my family. And I didn't want to sign up for that. So this just gave me really a peace of mind that I was just doing the best thing for my family. But when I just learned that, you know, as you flood your body with good produce, you can turn on or off those good or bad genes that causes disease, I really just felt that moral and ethical obligation to tell everybody about it, you know. And so for me, I was excited to share that message. As Michelle said, my background is in business, but I really never felt like I was making a big enough difference. So I wanted to be in that wellness industry because I feel like if you have your health, you have everything. And I wanted people to be able to have the optimal health that I was experiencing. But, you know, this business, I get as excited about the business side of things as I do the product. You know, I needed that financial plan B, but I think it was more important for me to be involved with it, to really claim my voice, to get that identity, to get some of my self-worth back. You know, after going through a divorce, I really struggled with some of that. And so to me, this was about really just reclaiming who I was. And that's really what drove me. That was my strong why. You know, if you give me a money why, it shut me down. So, you know, get in tune with your why and what's really going to motivate you to do the activity, because what's easy to do in this business is also easy not to do. So, you know, you want to make sure that you've got that strong why to compel you to do the activity, even when you don't feel like it. But, you know, as Michelle said, my husband, I was remarried. Jeff and I have been married for 10 years now. And we still needed a why because we have 6 children between us. We are officially the Brady Bunch. I had to laugh when you said the Brady Bunch tiles on here because that's like, yeah, that's my family. But we, you know, we had 5 of our 6 kids in college at one time, and we had 3 of them that went on and got married. And so, you know, we were able to pay for all that because of our Juice Plus business. And what's fun is that our story just keeps getting bigger. You know, last September we had twin grandsons, and they were born 12 weeks early. And I was able to fly down to Florida 5 different weeks to take care of those babies. And I didn't have to ask my boss for time off. I still got paid. We reached a major goal of 50 club when I was working down there with taking care of the babies. And so it was just really truly showing me what it's like to design your life. You know, so whatever your aspirations are for this business, you can do that. And I can also tell you another big shift that has just really increased my gratitude, I guess you'd say, for this opportunity. Recently, my husband, his company went through a major reorganization. He lost his job. Well, we've got the health benefits through Juice Plus, and we have for 6 years. We didn't have to go on that expensive Cobra. You know, he could take the time to look for a job that he really wanted to take instead of having to take the first thing that came along. And that is the kind of thing that this business can do for you. It can give you options for your life. So that's why I love it. So how do you succeed in this business? Well, we know the person who shares their story the most wins. And so you want to be able to share your story with confidence. And it all starts with your mindset. You have to have a strong belief in the product, the company, the industry, and yourself. And I can tell you over these 12 years, what I see that most people struggle with is the belief in their self. So find out what's holding you back. And don't get caught up in all the personal development that you could do. You know, just go read a book, get over it, you know, just move on and create your life. Don't let your fears or your failures or any limiting beliefs rob you from creating the life that you want to create, okay? You can do it. You have to move from the attitude of impossible, as Stephen Ritz says, is to I'm possible, right? So having that strong mindset with that, keeping it simple. You know, don't overcomplicate it. Less is more. You know, sometimes in the beginning, we have a tendency to bring up objections before they're even spoken. You know, you don't want to be doing that. Always shift things to the positive. You know, don't talk about it being expensive. You know, don't talk about getting Juice Plus at a cheaper price. Talk about getting it at the best possible price. You know, so you always want to just use those positive words. I want you to remember that Juice Plus made sense to you. It's going to make sense to other people. They don't need to have an experience to get started. You're sharing their story, you know, and you don't need to have this aha moment. I didn't even have a story. I didn't even know what whole food nutrition meant. I got through my first 2 promotion levels. I got through the Fast Track 2000, and I called Karen Ewald and I said, what is whole food nutrition? I was that ignorance on fire. So, you know, it was just really about being excited and being passionate, knowing that, hey, this makes sense to me. It's going to make sense to other people as well. Okay. So that's part of your mindset. The other thing is, don't worry about being that perfect wordsmith. You know, the person with the most heart and the most passion for other people are going to attract the other people. It's not about having the perfect words, because as you've heard, I'm sure a million times already, you cannot say the wrong thing to the right people, and you can't say the right thing to the wrong people. So many times we spend too much time talking to the wrong people, where we just have to go and find the people that are listening for our message. So, you know, again, your contagiousness is going to come when you're confident in your story, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But then the other piece of mindset is to be intentional. It's not just going to happen by accident. You've got to carve out the time where you're going to be making sure you're sharing your story. I remember Karen told me when I first got started, go get 10 customers a month for 4 months in a row. You'll get through your first 2 promotion levels, your business will move on to qualify, and it will pay you a residual income for the rest of your life. And she was right. But I had to be intentional. I knew that if I needed 10 customers in a month, I needed to get 2 or 3 a week. So I kept making phone calls and connections until I got those. We had cassette tapes at that time, and I would have 2 cassette tapes in my purse every day. And I would make sure that I gave them away to somebody, before I got home. So it's even easier now. You got to make sure that you text somebody a new video, that they can listen to. So be intentional and share your story with at least 2 people new every single day, okay? So how do we step into our story? Well, first of all, you got to walk the talk. You want to be living the mission. You want to just go about life naturally, but doing the things that are all those one simple changes. When you go to the gym, you have your Juice Plus water bottle. You've got maybe Juice Plus shirt on, but you've got that healthy glow about you because you're taking care of yourself. You go to a party, you take a healthy snack. You exhibit happiness. People want to be around positive people, especially women. We've got enough struggles in our life. We want to be around that happy, positive culture. Last month I got a new rep on my team because she said to me, well, I saw you on Facebook. It looks like you're always having fun. I didn't even know she was looking at my posts on Facebook, but I was creating curiosity and just exhibiting that lifestyle that people wanted to be a part of. And that goes to the next point, is create curiosity for sure. So many of us, and I was guilty of this in the beginning too, I just threw up on people. I just was telling them everything they needed to know. I felt like I needed to know everything. When I realized, again, that less was more, and that creating the curiosity about, what are you doing? What are you up to? Why are you always playing? Why do you have free time? Why are you, doing something in the middle of the day with your husband? That kind of thing. Using one-liners, whether it's on social media or in person. Things like, when somebody asks you, how are you doing? Oh my gosh, I'm amazing. I have more energy than I've had in years. You didn't even mention Juice Plus, but they're like, oh my gosh, who doesn't want more energy? What the heck are you doing to have more energy, Or, I'm doing fantastic. I get to wake up to passion and purpose every single day. Again, you don't say what that is. And then you just turn around and you ask them a question and get them talking. Hey, does anybody have any kale recipes? I've got more kale coming out my ears than I know what to do with. Kale, how do you even like kale? So you're just creating that curiosity about the things you're doing. Pictures of the Tower Garden alone created curiosity for sure. But then you want to step into your story. You want it to be relatable. You want it to be generic enough that a lot of people can relate to it, but also specific enough that it creates curiosity. Sometimes if people have a really disease-specific story, people will discount it. They're like, oh, well, I don't have fibromyalgia or I don't have cancer, so I don't need it. You want to try to make it all around relatable to everybody. One of the things that I did with my stories, I just even rewrote it recently where I just started saying, hey, I'm so grateful I made one simple change over 12 years ago where I started flooding my body with over 30 power foods every single day. I'm healthier now at 52 than I was at 39, and I was healthy then. But most importantly, I've got hope that I'm changing my family's health legacy that was filled with cancer. Tell me, what's your family's health legacy? Now, you notice I didn't even mention Juice Plus. I mentioned the words one simple change. It's like, oh, what was that one simple change you made? How do you get 30 fruits and vegetables into your diet? And then I made it about them. Hey, what's your health legacy? So if you get them talking and you really listen, you're going to know what to say next. If you're worried about what you're going to say next, you're not really listening. Listen to what they're saying, and you're going to be able to really know what question to ask them next. And one of my little tricks, if I'm not sure what to say, because maybe I was daydreaming for a second, or I really am not sure that I totally understand what their health goals are, I'll just say, tell me more. Tell me more about that. What does that look like for you? It's a simple way to buy a little bit more time, but then also to just retune into listening to what their needs are, okay? So that's important. Now, let's talk about closing the sale. Where your key thing is to get them to say yes to something. They may not say yes to Juice Plus right off the bat. It could take 3 to 5 exposures to say yes to the product. It might even be more than that for the business, but you want to get them to say yes to something. If I sent you a video, would you watch it? Hey, can I pick you up for this amazing event? We're going to have a great wine and wellness over at the Olive Oasis. I'd love for you to join me. I don't want to go alone. Can I pick you up? Just get them to say yes to something. And then the other thing in closing the sale is to always keep it professional. Do what you say you're going to do. If they said they'd watch a video, make sure you send it. If they said that they wanted to go to the event with you, make sure you pick them up on time. If they said that they were going to watch the video and you set that date and time to follow up, that's the big key. So many people feel pushy when they're following up with people. The number one thing you can do is when you first pass that information out to them is say, when is the best time to follow up? When do you think you're going to have a chance to watch this? And then set that specific date and time so that when you call them back on that Monday night at 7 o'clock, like she asked you to, you don't feel pushy, you feel professional because you're doing what you said you were going to do. Okay? So that's really important. And then the last thing about closing the sale is ask for the order. You want to say, are you ready to get started? The number one reason that people get started on Juice Plus is because they're asked, are you ready to get started? And if they say no, ask, well, what other information do you need so that you're comfortable to make a decision? And that way you can give them something specific that you might have seen in one of the Juice Plus experience chats, or maybe it's one of the Save Boxers on the Campbell Team website, or maybe you could say, hey, you know what, my friend Michelle has a lot of experience in that area. Would you be open to doing a 3-way call with her? I think she could help answer your questions. Simple like that. Sometimes, has anybody ever heard, I have to talk to my husband first, right? And so what's the great thing to say there? Well, hey, how does your husband like to learn? What do you think would be important to him? What information could I give you that you think, would get him excited or help him understand why you're so excited about this? So again, getting specific, something that's going to target them, okay? So let's talk about rewriting your story. If you're not confident in your story, or you feel like you just go on and on and on, and or you might not, it's not even your story, you might not even know how to answer the question, hey, what do you do? You want to be able to have an answer that just rolls off the tip of your tongue. So what I would recommend is that you do a coaching call with Michelle and you make it conversational. Okay, you just start out. Don't even tell her your story initially. Just start talking, and she's going to ask you some key things like, what made sense to you about Juice Plus in the first place? What have you experienced since taking Juice Plus? I was working with somebody recently to rewrite their story, and she's like, I don't really have a great story. I've been taking Juice Plus forever. I feel great. I'm healthy, but, I was healthy before, and this is really kind of my story too. It's like, I didn't, she's like, I don't really have anything too exciting to tell people. And I said, well, okay, think about this. What if somebody told you you couldn't ever take Juice Plus again? How would that make you feel? It made me feel afraid. So maybe that becomes part of your story. It's like, hey, I've got such a peace of mind to this that I'd pay double what I'm paying now. And honestly, if somebody told me I couldn't take it, I'd be really afraid. And so just share your heart, be real with that. You don't have to make up or have this grandiose story. The other thing to keep in mind is if you don't feel like your story's big enough or relatable enough to somebody that you might be talking to, let's say you're talking to somebody with cancer and you don't have cancer or you never had cancer, share somebody else's story. I'll never forget. I still, to this day, I've got 2 stories that I share consistently all the time. The first one is it was one of my very first customers. They got on Juice Plus. He was a lymphoma survivor. He was 70 years old, but his blood work wasn't where they wanted it to be. So they thought, hey, we don't have anything to lose and this might help. They started taking Juice Plus, and when they went to the doctor, it was taking forever. And the doctor came out and they said, we're so sorry. And their hearts sank, and they said, we had to rerun your blood 3 times. It is so good. We thought we made a mistake. And, that's empowering. That man, they had given him like a 6 to 8 year life thing. He's been cancer-free now for over 10 years. Okay. And they told him, if you would go to another lymphoma doctor, they would never know you had lymphoma. I mean, that's the power of these stories. I was helping a woman rewrite her story last night. She has a little boy. His name is Joey. She came to a wellness presentation. He had special needs. He had seizures in his brain, electrical shocks in his brain, 1 every second. Since taking Juice Plus, he hasn't had those anymore. He's had 3 normal EEGs, and he is off all medications. He's off this super high-fat diet that they had him on because they were trying to control these electrical shocks, and he's not having any of it anymore. Do you think that's changed that woman's life? Yeah, but you know what? Not everybody's child has those kind of, experiences. But it's a great story that I can share if somebody has one similar to that, so step into your own story. But if you feel like you are talking to somebody who really has a huge health need, go find a story that's going to give them hope. Okay? Go find a story that's going to give them hope. Because even you're just being involved without a aha story, other people's stories, or you have places to find them. And so you want to share that hope and know that you're a gift giver by sharing your story. So we have the opportunity to work with Claire and Tanya on the boat, and I'm going to open it up to them. I don't know which one wants to talk first, if it's Claire or Tanya, but why don't you, one of you chime in and share a little bit about your experience and then how you came about your new story.
Okay, I unmuted you, Claire. There you go. You're unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, one of the things that I found so exciting about having a time on the boat with Wendy and Michelle was my story was specific to a medical scare. I did have a stroke with major seizures, and it was horrific. And so what I would do is when I would start my story a year ago, actually it was just a little over a year ago when I had my stroke, I couldn't walk or talk after my stroke. And then I found Juice Plus and started it, and this is me today. But when I would tell my story a lot, I would always say a stroke. And most of the people I was talking to was exactly what Wendy had said earlier. They couldn't relate to a stroke. They thought, well, that's something my parents have, or I've never heard of that, so it's not going to happen to me. So what I learned in sharing this and working back and forth with them was I changed it from having a stroke and a seizure to, I call it, an unexpected health scare. And that really helps to get people to listen. By just changing that one thing from stroke to an unexpected health scare, they kind of perk up and they're like, well, wait, what was your unexpected? They're already listening now. And then I go through the rest of my story is very, very short. And I do the same thing. I talk about how I found a way to flood my body with over 30 fruits and vegetables. And they kind of catch that a little bit and kind of see them go away. Exactly like Wendy said, they kind of do, well, what did you just say? And then I talk about just recently, which was a huge major accomplishment for me, was I was just able to help my husband put a new roof on our home. And I literally was going up and down the ladder, and I was carrying shingles, and I took down our chimney all by myself. A year ago, I couldn't even form words. So imagine how that feels today. And so for me, it's such an empowering story that I want everyone I see on the street, I want them to have Juice Plus, because if I had stayed where I was, I don't think I'd be here today. The medications that I were on were the side effects and all of that. But the other thing I learned about my story is to ask a question. So now my favorite thing is when I'm talking to someone is I always ask, can you imagine having this much energy and being this strong? And then I always try to ask them, and it does vary with who I'm talking to, but I'll always ask, what is your daily routine to protect yourself and your family from everyday health issues? And then they kind of stop and they pause a moment, and it starts a dialogue. And so that's what I learned. My old story didn't have any of that in there. It talked about the stroke, and I never asked a question. So that's kind of how I've changed it. And now it's so engaging. People are actually, when I talk to them, we're conversing, and it's a lot of fun. I'm just having a ball, and it feels so different now. So for me, I can never thank Wendy and Michelle enough for having that time and learning so much more about my story. And so that's my take, and thank you guys.
Thank you. Oh, you did an awesome job. That's great. You guys see the shift, right? And can you hear her confidence in her voice when she's talking? Yeah, that's really what it's all about, is to just be confident, because when you're confident, you're contagious.
And I didn't have that before. Just that when I was talking before, I was so nervous that I was, by saying everything correctly, I don't even think about that anymore. It just flows. So yeah, that's so huge for me.
Awesome.
Thank you, Claire.
Am I unmuted?
Tanya, I unmuted.
Could you hear me? I'm like pushing the button over and over. Okay, so my story was last year. I used to just pretty much go into a lot about how I lost so much weight. And so what Wendy taught me is that, most people that I'm going to be talking to, they are not experiencing that, or they don't want to hear about, oh, so I can just take this, and I'm going to lose all this weight, just like you did. So now my story is last year, my family experienced a health scare, one that motivated me to look at myself and see where I was heading. And so that's when I decided to make a change. And I was introduced to, no, sorry, that was my old part. Sorry about that. But anyways, I decided to make one simple change, and I found a way to flood my body with 30 fruits and vegetables every single day. And since then, I sleep like a rock, which is awesome. I have lost weight. I have stronger nails that I can finally paint, which I never got to paint before. So that's really cool. And for my daughter, she finally sleeps through the night, which is huge for me because we had 4 years of sleepless nights. So that is a big deal for me. And now I have this energy that I can finally keep up with my family, and that's a wonderful thing. So, and now that I've been saying that story, it went from, I literally had like a whole entire page full of my old story. And it took me 4 minutes to say the whole entire story, which is kind of embarrassing to say, but, and now it's literally like 40 seconds. So, I think like people really actually want to listen, and instead of like, oh, she's going on about losing this, and, I mean, it's boring after a while. And so now I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I did talk too long about it. But, and then I'm just ending with, so what's going on with you? Is there anything in your life that you want to change? And then that's it. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Tanya. So, what I love about these initial stories that are just a minute or so long is that they start the conversation. It doesn't mean that you'll never share the deeper parts of your story and the longer parts of your story. You might get into that 4-minute conversation with them, but you don't want to shut them down with that 4-minute conversation right off the bat. As they're talking, you're like, oh my gosh, that was totally my experience too. Or, that you can bring in bigger parts of your story as the conversation goes along, but don't feel like you have to just dump the whole thing on it, which is exactly the change, the little shift, which is perfect. So, your bigger story is still always going to be powerful to tell. And it'll probably be a story that you tell, like when you're doing trainings, or, when you're on the main stage doing training, sharing your story, you're going to tell the longer version perhaps. But, at the end of the day, we have to have that elevator speech kind of polished so that we're making a difference. So, that's great. I really just want to summarize is that, when telling your story, you want to have the right mindset. You want to step into your story, live the mission, create curiosity, and then turn it back over to them. And then really be proactive in closing the sale, whether it's asking for the order right on the spot, and or setting up the next follow-up steps and then actually doing the follow-up. Fortune is, that's how you're going to really make a difference. This business has grown one customer at a time, one rep at a time, one day at a time. So thanks for listening. I hope that was helpful. And if you want to open it up to questions, I'd be more than happy to take any, Michelle.
Absolutely. You know what? You guys have the ability to unmute yourselves down at the bottom left of your screen. So I'm going to let you do that yourself. You can mute or unmute if you've got questions, and I would love to give you an opportunity to ask Wendy questions. Not a single question.
I do have a question though. When when you're asking them if they're ready, and if they are kind of, close, do you have certain videos or anything that you just automatically are like, what if I sent you this certain video, or I don't know, just one of the different clips that they have on Campbell Team or something. Do you have a certain go-to that you like to send to people that are like, I don't know, I'm not sure yet?
That's a good question. So what I tell people is find the video you love and share that one, because whatever video you love, you're going to get excited about. But it also goes back to finding out what are their health goals. So tell me, what are your health goals? What are you hoping to prevent? If it's cardiovascular disease, I'm going to go for a boxer message on that. If it's cancer, I'm going to use something else. If it's If they're an elite athlete and they're just trying to fuel their body for peak performance, I'm going to send them something from Jeff Olson. You know, like whatever, you know, I'm going to have my key go-to ones that I go for the hot topics. In fact, I keep those copy and paste section of my phone so that I can just send them real quickly. But, you know, ultimately find the ones you love, because that's the one that you're like, oh my gosh, you're going to love this video. Pay attention to the part, you know, right here when the person talks about X, Y, Z or whatever you know is going to be the hot button, and yeah, go from there.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Michelle, can you hear me? Wendy?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I've been doing this for 8 years. My story really hasn't really changed. I don't have any brand new things that have happened in the last couple of years or year. It's old, and it feels old to me. And how do you refresh it?
Okay. Well, you want to play? You want to try?
Okay.
Do we have time for that, Michelle?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is kind of what we did on the boat. So, okay. So tell me, Lisa, what made sense to you when you first heard about Juice Plus?
I heard about Juice Plus from a cousin of mine who is a nurse, who happens to be Michelle's best friend. And she contacted me because my son was diagnosed with ADHD, and she'd watched me struggle for years trying to get him focused and behaving better and stuff. And we had tried medication and failed miserably. And she called me the following week and said, I think this might help. It's supposed to help with any chronic disease. And I said, okay, sign me up. We'll try it.
Okay. So what about it made sense to you though? Like, why did you just trust her? Did you just feel like what about the concept behind it made sense to you?
I was kind of at my wit's end. I did just trust her. I didn't know that much at that point about how nutrition could help, but I knew that we had every negative side effect known to man when we tried prescription medication, and I was willing to look at alternatives. Okay.
So you were ready, is what I'm hearing you say. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I just work with me here for a minute. Okay. So what I hear you saying is that you're ready to hear a solution. So since taking Juice Plus, what have you guys experienced?
Well, my son got more focused, but that was, again, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
He got more focused. He was more, his anger issues calmed down. The stuff that was dealing with him got better. We all got healthier. My daughter's asthma went away within like 6 months. My fall allergies didn't come back the following fall. My husband's psoriasis improved. What else? My husband always used to get sick every winter, and starting that winter, which was about 6 months in, he never missed any more work due to illness. We have lots of little bits and pieces that
these are great.
all were helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So, really what I hear you saying, I mean, your story could be as simple as, when I first heard about Juice Plus, I was, well, hang on, let me back up a minute. I was a busy mom at my wit's end looking for solutions for my son who was having a medical issue. We had tried everything the doctors recommended, and they just didn't work. So when I first learned about a natural way that I could make a difference for him, I was ready to try anything. Since we started making that one simple change, not only have things improved with him dramatically, we've also all gotten healthier as a family. We're off all allergy and asthma medicine. My husband's psoriasis cleared up. We don't get sick every winter like we used to. Tell me, what are some of the everyday health things that you struggle with that you wish were improved in your life?
Okay, awesome.
Doesn't that feel lighter and just...
Yeah, because I always used to feel like I was giving them a list.
Right.
So, no, that's great.
Yeah, so you don't have to get into the listing. You don't need to get into the details. 8 years ago, my cousin and my friend, blah, 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 you don't need to do that. But, those, again, they can be weaved in later, but you want that little power punch just to have that initial story that you can tell with confidence that you don't have to think twice about it, and it just comes out.
Great.
Yeah, yeah. So see, I mean, just when you talk about it, you guys can see how she's like, oh yeah, that, you know, she just lightens up. And you know, Jay Martin says, if you lighten up, your sales are going to brighten up.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anyone else?
You see how that works? Anybody else have any questions for Wendy? So, you know, I would love to say that I am as brilliant as Wendy is, but I do have a huge desire to help all of you go through this exercise if you feel like you want to or need to. So, you know, let's definitely Vox me, and we'll spend some time, and we can do it over Voxer if you're super busy, or we can even get on the phone live. And it doesn't, as you can see, it doesn't take that long. You know, we can set aside I think that was about 10 minutes right there. So we can set aside 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it takes, and I can help you with that. And if you still don't feel, you know, solid and, you know, really comfortable with it, then, you know, we can certainly, we can work with Karen or maybe even I can ask Wendy to help us if I'm running into some roadblocks. But just amazing. Thank you, Wendy, so much.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I just as a side note, I usually do block 30 minutes out, and that lets me, we can usually get through rewriting both the product and the business story in that 30 minutes.
Perfect.
So,
yes.
Yeah, so you should be able to do that. And just as an example, we've been doing a lot of this rewriting in our team. And last month, we had a nurse on our team. She was one of those people, beautiful, gorgeous, has a huge, perfect market as a nurse, but she was just stuck. And we reworked her story. She got 11 orders, tripled her paycheck. And it was just all because she had a different confidence and air about her when she was sharing it. And so it is a powerful thing. So your challenge is to rewrite it and then just go share it with somebody new every single day. Thanks for having me on the call tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you so much, Wendy.
Thank you. See you. Bye, Michelle. Love you.
Bye. Love you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.